am your professional organizer and image consultant, and I'm here with Marla, my girlfriend, and we're going to talk about speaking. Yes, yes, yes. I help you go from overwhelmed to income. Marla helps you go from speaking on stage to income. So it's going to be a really cool talk, and I wanted to welcome Marla. Thanks for being here. We're going to have so much fun on this chat.
Thanks for having me, Kathy. This is going to be a great talk. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New
It's
Year.
only 2 days into 2024. There's so much more.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit about Marla. Now, some of you already know her, but some of you might not. Now, Marla is quite impressive. She has a degree in psychology, for one, which is very interesting for being a speaker because she can put those pieces together. She's the founder of Speakers on Fire Academy. And she's a speaking coach, a life coach, and the art of presence trainer. I want to know more about that. Marla teaches you how to master your presence and create a bigger impact by building your wow factor and your connection to the audience. And you'll see this live as we talk today. So, Marla's mission really is to help you speak so that people will listen, right? We can speak all we want, but if they're not listening and we're like, who cares? It doesn't really matter, right? Who cares? Let's just keep it interesting and wear crazy hats, right, Marla?
Every day. Let's play. I keep
Every day,
rhyming. Just cut me off anytime because if I just rhyme too much, it's going to get old. Okay.
oh, I just love it. Okay, so listen, Marla can do one-on-one coaching. She also has group programs. So her unique exercises help beginner and even experienced speakers transform their talks immediately. So let's get going and jump into it, Marla. I am so happy you're here. Talk to me about the bridge between psychology and you becoming a speaker trainer. What was that transition?
Oh, that's so important. Oh my gosh, because let's fake it. Let's fake it. Yeah. Let's face it that speaking is still the number one fear of all people of all time for decades and decades. It's the number one fear. Why is that? It's not because we don't want to speak, but to speak in front of a group or in public or to a potential client, to do any of that, we're afraid of being judged.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole package around that, all these emotional attachments. It's, how do we look? Are we good enough? Is our message important? How do we sound? All of those things, do they really want to listen to me? All of those things come up. And as a kid, we grew up and a lot of us had messages of you're not good enough or don't speak up. Children need to be quiet or you don't look good enough or your message doesn't matter, what you say doesn't matter, and all of those messages that we got that at least to some degree, if not a big degree, they stick with us. And then even as we have experiences, so maybe you had an experience speaking and it didn't go so well, so then that sticks with you. And I help people unhook from the past, like literally unhook from the past, because we are hooked by it and it holds us back.
Yeah, that's so very important. We all have hooks from the past. And I think even if people aren't learning to speak, unhooking anything from the past is a good thing. And it could be something at 6 years old, that it's like, don't stand up there and be bold, don't do that. Sit down, all those things that we learn over the years. I just think it's interesting that, you started in psychology and went into speaking. It makes total sense, but I don't think I've met another speaker trainer that had that background. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Now, tell me, okay, now you're doing this. How long have you been a speaker trainer, by the way?
It's been about 4 or 5 years, getting close to 5 years now, but I've been on stages my whole life. So I have both those passions. Psychology is still, I love learning about human behavior, and I'm also a life coach. So I help people with all kinds of personal issues, and I love that. And I just am fascinated by human behavior. I mean, we're so interesting, right? And there's so many ways to overcome some of the challenges that we have that are not just about talking about them, but they're so interesting. But as far as being on a stage, I started out being a dancer. At age 9, I started performing. and performed constantly, and then was in musical plays and performed constantly. And I wrote speeches. I remember being in confirmation class and they say, okay, who wants to do the confirmation speech for the class at graduation? Nobody would raise their hand, nobody. And I'm like, oh, please, me. I couldn't wait, because I love to write and I love to speak.
That's fantastic. Yeah, good thing they were probably like, I'm glad someone volunteered. Let Marla do it. She can do it.
Oh my gosh. So I'm not sure who this is. Hello out there. Thank you for saying you didn't know I started out as a dancer. So I don't see your name there, but so glad to have you here. And yes, I still dance. Come on. You got to, you got to see a little bit of that in me.
She still has a tiara, she's got it going on here. So that's pretty darn cool. And the more that you can speak, I think the better you feel. And I'm with you on that. It's the number one fear, I guess, is speaking, public speaking. For me, it came natural as well. And I think that some of us are blessed that it works out that way. Although, before we hit stage, we always have a little bit of nerve. So what do you suggest to people as you're working with them and they're getting ready to go on stage? Do you have any best practices that you recommend that people do prior to like the entrance?
Yes, absolutely. And that's true. Even experienced speakers, even celebrities get those little nervous butterflies before they speak. Even if they've spoken a lot before, it's very common. And so two ways to approach that. One is ahead of time. You want to practice calming techniques so you get good at them. And I teach some unusual exercises that really help people get very grounded and very centered. And it not only helps the nerves, but it makes you a much better communicator, more authentic. And we can get into that in a minute, but to keep answering your question. So ahead of time, you want to learn these techniques. Then the few minutes before you go on stage, you should be able to get into it pretty quickly. So you ground, you do this exercise, and you do the short version of the exercise. You can't do the long version all the time. Some people, they put on some music. I do a little NLP technique where you combine the a moment where you felt the most confident in your life and music that you love that always makes you feel good, and then you do something to anchor it. So that's again the brief version of the exercise, but the exercise makes it so that all you have to do is, if this was the anchor, you just touch your fingers together and boom, you're into that music, you're into that event that happened that made you so confident, and it just brings back into your body.
I like that. As you're saying this, it's reminding me, I spoke at a conference in Chicago earlier this year. I began last year, since we're in 2024. And they wanted everybody to have a theme song that they would walk to stage on. And I'm like, oh my, or dance to stage on. Now it would have been so easy for you, right? Because you're a dancer. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, well, I know what I wanted. I know that I want Shining Star from Earth, Wind and Fire. I'm a P-Funk girl from way back. But how do I dance on stage to funk, right? And that was more scary than actually speaking at the
conference. My gosh. For a lot of people, yeah, they're not comfortable in their bodies, or they're just not used to dancing, or maybe it's not your music, all of those things. But even if you play that music in your mind, it'd be great if we could all enter with music. But even if you play that in your mind, it would be your favorite music. So, it wouldn't be that something somebody else chose. It gives you that energy, that joy, and your body relaxes with that. And it makes a big difference. And I want to do a shout out to Tina. Hi, Tina. I can see your name. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Hi, Tina. Welcome. Okay. So let me ask you, why are you so passionate about helping people become better speakers? And what do you think this is important, Marla? Now, I have my own thoughts, and I know that you do as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why the timing of this is so important, because for a lot of us, it's not that we don't evaluate our business ongoing, but that turn of the year does make us focus in a little bit more about, okay, what do we want for this coming year? What do we want for our personal life? What do we want for our business? And the best way the best way to grow your business is to speak more and speak well. Speak so that you wow your audience every time. You get that down, and you are going to be so successful. And if you're already successful, you're going to be even more successful when you learn some of these techniques. It is the most important thing. And, when I started really getting into it about 4 or 5 years ago, I came from the art of presence, which we can talk about a little bit too. But then when COVID happened, the speaking business, let's say the coaching business, coaches and consultants grew by, they said 800%. That is incredible. It's the fastest growing industry. And there's plenty of people that need your help out there, more than enough people that need your help, but it's still hard to stand out from the crowd so those people can find you.
Right.
And in order to do that, you need to have not only a great message, but a great delivery of that message so people really hear you and really see you and remember you and want to work with you.
Back to that, they have to hear you. You can't just be a talking head, which there's so many, there's just so much noise out there right now. Let's just put it that way. That, how are you going to stand out? How are you going to show your presence? So it is super important. Let's talk about the art of presence. I'm very intrigued by this because I'm a meditator myself, and I love being, I love being chillaxed and chill. So let's talk about the presence, the art.
Yes, I love this work. This is where I started even before doing the speaking coaching, and I fell in love with the work. And it started out as the art of feminine presence, and now we include men. So now I just call it the art of presence most of the time, because most things are appropriate or helpful for both men and women, but we tweak it a little different one way or the other. And then, no matter how you identify, we make it appropriate for you so that it's really, really helpful. But a lot of it is energy work, and a lot of it is psychology. And those
Back
are
to
two
that.
things. Yes, I am a huge believer in both. The energy work is really helpful. The psychology work is really helpful. You have both, and it's amazing. It changes everything. It's transformational. And it's partly where your energy is. So most of us have our energy up in our head.
Right. This thing.
Yeah, it's the to-do list, it's the critical mind, it's the voices we hear, it's thinking about the past, thinking about the future. It's all of those things that just clutter. It's taking in the environment. We're bombarded with information and images and just so many things. It's taking all that in and processing it, and then we're in this intellectual energy. And that's not really who we are. That's just a small part of who we are. And we can bring that energy down into not only our heart, but what I call our home space. And the home space it's really in your pelvic area. I call it your gut a lot of times because people relate to that. We say, trust your gut intuition and trust your gut and feel with your gut, all those things. So people are used to that. And I try and make it really practical, but it's really a little bit lower, a couple inches below your navel and inside your body. And this is the area of all of your essence of who you are.
Yeah, that's your root chakra, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the essence. It is, it's not your identity. It's not who you are. It's not what you've done. It's this essence that is unique to you. And it's also where all the resourcefulness is. For women, we call it womb space because it's the birthing area of all your creativity and everything you have to give. And, for men and women both, and I'll call it your home space because that also has a lot of meaning where you really feel like you're at home.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that, we always say, well, trust your gut. We don't ever say trust your mind because our mind is like like that, right? But our gut, if we center in and like you recommend and like you teach, go down to that root chakra, go down to that home space. I love that you call it home too, being an organizer, of course. Everything has to have home.
Go. I didn't think of that.
I know, immediately went there. But I think it's so very true that if we can somehow tap in and turn off that monkey chat that happens all the time. I think that's why a lot of people think that they're ADD or ADHD more now. You hear that over and over and over. And I think it's just we're bombarded now. We are bombarded by information coming in from all channels, including just the way to talk to people. I mean, for goodness sake, is it Skype? Is it Zoom? Is it phone? Is it text? Is it Facebook? What is it? But going down to that level, to the home space, I think is great. Yeah, really good. Well, it sounds like you're very much different from other speaking coaches. Can you define what you think sets you apart if someone were to hire you to speak better and to actually be heard as a speaker? What would set you apart with that?
Yeah, the biggest difference, there's quite a few, but the biggest difference is I work on your message, your compelling story, and how to say more with less, all those things. But I always start, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, I always start with your energy. Always start with getting you out of this head energy and into your home space, because that in itself quickly changes everything. And no matter how great your message is, if you don't radiate it from inside, from your whole being, it doesn't land as well with other people. And also when you communicate from this place, the content becomes more about other people instead of, this is me, this is what I do, this is how I can help you, even is not the same as, this is really what you're going to get from working with me. And some emotional content comes out too when you speak from this place. And then your energy changes. And it's funny because, people think of, when I say I work with your energy, that I have to make everybody kind of like me, like way up here, and like I tend to a lot of the time be super high energy. I'm not always that way. I swear, I promise I'm not always that way, but I get that way because I get so excited about what I do. Yeah. But you don't have to be anywhere near that. It's the energy, as long as it's coming from inside versus your head, it becomes magnetic. And you can be down here, you can talk lower, you can be down here with your energy, and you will draw people in from this place as much as from this excited place up here, but not from the intellectual mind. People are going to tune out eventually, if not immediately.
Yeah, they're going to tap into it. It's funny that you say that. I guess I did it instinctually without knowing, because before I go on stage, I always just do the thing, do a little bit of Tai Chi, put it to the earth, and then say, please have me speak whatever they need to hear. And then I come from that space, right? But what happens is sometimes I'm not even speaking my speech. I'm speaking about something else, which is because that's the whole point, right? You want to help people. The whole reason we speak, not only to be noticed, but is to help people. Let's see if we can help just even one person out there make some kind of a shift in their life. And so, that's the idea. And I think when you're coming from your home space, as you say, you are a bit better able to do that, because, we're all in tune with each other anyhow. And if you just go down to that space, I think they'll feel your essence more, and you'll feel their essence more. And maybe the words that come out of your mouth are something that wasn't even planned, but something they really need to hear.
Yes, absolutely. I believe one person can change a relationship. So when you get in this space, it encourages other people and gives people permission to get into that space themselves. Yeah. And, another way that I'm different is I don't just talk about these things, because for a lot of people, they can say they're going to do it, but it doesn't fully happen until they go through this experience with me, because I take people through a guided experience to get them in this place. I don't just say, ground yourself more. And it's not exactly a meditation. It's a very specific, specialized, guided exercise that really gets people into that place. And then you got to practice it. Some people get there within a time or two, and other people need to practice it more, but it's very doable for everyone.
Well, this type of toolkit that you offer is super duper important, I think. And I like the way that you make it very practical, and that you have the steps, and that everything is individualized as well. So I'm sure that every person that you coach and help with this has their own little song. They have their own thing that takes them there. They have their own way they can do it. And so I applaud that. I think that's super important.
Yeah, thank you. That's another reason why I love what I do, is because people bring to it what they need to. So the unhooking exercise I do, that's also a guided exercise. It's not talking about your childhood. I don't even have to know your story,
Yeah.
because when you go through the exercise, you transform yourself by going through this guided exercise. So a lot of times people want to share their story, and that's great, but you don't even have to, because it's that able to put yourself in it and get what you need from it. Yeah, it's great work.
Yeah. I don't like rehashing the old stuff, just brings it back up again. So who cares? It's like, let's just keep that one alive. Why don't we? Oh, I was 6 years old and it was terrible. It was just terrible. Then it gets more terrible, then you're amplified. So yeah, I'm with you on that. So you said the energy is really important. Can you talk a little bit about the type of energy that you're speaking of?
Yeah, because there's both internal energy, which we've already talked about, getting in the home space, but
Mm-hmm.
then there's all this external energy. So
Mm-hmm.
we're all in mastery or not of the energy around us too, and that gets communicated to other people. So I say there's 4 types of energy. The first type is the shrinker. So people, and a lot of speakers will do this, they're with their family and they're like blabbing away, and they get on a stage or even a Zoom room or even a meeting if they're on a team, and they just shrink. They're quiet, or when they do talk, their voice is, like really mousy. They round their shoulders, or they literally lean back, and their energy is shrunken. Their energy globe, I call it a light globe, is about here. It's like all around, just barely outside their body. Then the second type of energy is almost the opposite of that. It's the spiller or projector. And that's what a lot of people do also, is they throw their energy out and they project it onto you when they're in performance mode. And some of that is entertaining and fun, and it gets attention, certainly. But if that's all you got, if you're just always projecting, exactly, people will back out away from you because it's too much. It's not connecting, and it's not, it's sometimes it's not real. So these are charismatic people, but their energy doesn't work overall, and they need to drop back in a little bit. And I'll tell you what the healthy energy is in just a second. The third type of energy is the diffuser. So people that have diffused energy, they just don't have a good boundary. And a lot of times they don't even take a stand on what they want to talk about. They just want to be liked. And so they won't quite say, well, this is what you got to do, or this is what I believe in, because they want everybody to like them. And that's very common for speakers. They just want to be liked. But instead, I say, you know what? Not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay. But take a stand. Show people what you care about. Show people your beliefs. And, you might piss some people off. And then later, even those people are going to come back and say, you know what? You made me think, and you changed my life. You never know. So the goal shouldn't be just to please everybody, but to show people who you are, what you stand for, and even be a little edgy with it.
Absolutely. And you want to choose a lane. I agree. The diffuser thing really doesn't, it might make you feel good, but it doesn't accomplish really anything. It seems like, maybe you won't ignite people. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Love that word. Hello, speakers on fire. But the healthy energy is energy that is expanded and yet contained.
Wow.
Yeah. And to experience, again, it's like, before I went through these exercises that I learned to do, I wouldn't have gotten what that meant. What does that mean? I mean, that's a hard concept to think about. So I take people through exercises to, first of all, acknowledge and be aware of where their energy is, because most of us have no clue where our energy is around us. And it's not about auras. It's not any of that kind of thing at all. It's this real practical energy that you will sense when I guide you through it.
Okay. So that's energy 4.
So yes,
right?
that's the fourth type, is the healthy energy.
So expanded but contained.
Yes.
Is that how you said it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Again, from an organizer, it's like, okay, everything has a home with yard around it, right? So it expands, but it's contained.
Yes.
Same thing, I guess, with your energy level, right? You have it, you can be out there, but yet you know where to kind of put put the little nest of people to listen to you in, like the pocket.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so many parallels here. I knew there would be. I knew it just worked. So I know, people are going to want to know how to get in touch with you, but is there anything that we haven't touched on that was kind of on your mind that you wanted to speak about today as we go into the new year for speakers who want to be speakers, for people who want to be speakers or speakers who want to be better speakers?
Yes. Yes. I mean, this is so important because a lot of people are evaluating this at this time.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are afraid to put themselves out there at all. It's those first few times that can be really scary and really uncomfortable. So, first of all, know that your message is important and your
Yes.
story is unique, whatever your story is. And it doesn't have to be a super traumatic story. That might be, and then you're going to really inspire people. But
Mhm.
you could inspire people just with your presence and telling the stories that you do have. And so everybody has a story that they can put themselves out there with, and everybody has a message. So maybe you want to be an inspirational speaker and you're not selling anything, or maybe you do have something that, you have a business like the 800% increase in coaches that have happened. I know a lot of you out there that are listening or watching, you do have a business and you do want to sell people something because you want to give them some help, because a lot of people need help with so many things. I mean, their weight or their health or their relationships or their business, their market. There's so many things we need help. Everybody needs a coach. And
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, so I want to, first of all, just encourage you to speak up, and then to say that, anyone can speak and you can get over your fear of speaking, but learn good speaking techniques so that you are a fabulous speaker, so that you stand out from the crowd, and so that you help more people.
Yeah, and you're the perfect person for that. And I agree that masters hire masters. I mean, the most successful people will have coaches. I mean, if you're a coach, you have a coach. I mean, you can't be a
Absolutely.
coach without having a coach or two or three in the kitty, right? Otherwise, you're not growing and expanding so that you can reach the people that you're coaching. So that's totally appropriate statement. So if people do want to work with you, Marla, how can they learn more about your coaching, your style, and connect with you?
Yeah, I'm happy to have a chat so that we can, not only talk about where you are and where you want to go, but also so that you can bring any part of your speech if you want, and we'll go over it one on one. But a really great way also to get to know what I do and how this is so different and so powerful is to come to my free masterclass. And I'm having
Yay!
another one. Yeah, next week I'm having another one, January 11th. Down here is the link to sign up for it. And you can't click on that, but you can write it down real quick. And I can also put it in the notes afterwards, so you can click on that. But in there, it's not a sales fest. It's not here's 3 steps, go do them later. I don't work that way. I actually coach people on the spot. I help people on the spot. I take everybody in the group through an exercise. So you're all going to get to experience what it's like to be in your home space and the difference it makes, because we speak before, we do the exercise, and then we speak after, and everybody notices a huge difference.
Oh, that sounds so experiential and so much fun.
Yes.
And it sounds like a safe place too. So if you're out there listening and you're looking for a safe place to try to just try it, try to hone in to your space and your home and see what comes forth. I think you'll be really amazed at yourself, the way that Marla will guide you through it. So yeah, anybody who's a speaker or even wants to thinking about being a speaker, because guess what? Everything's a sale. If you're in business, you're always selling, right? And the easiest way, as we said at the top of this conversation, is to speak with proficiency and expertise, and so people will listen. And the only way to do that is to learn to be a better speaker. So there you have it.
Oh my gosh, Kathy, you said that so well. And thanks for bringing up the safety part too, because that is another thing that some people are concerned about. But I definitely create that safe space between, I've done this for years. I've actually done therapy for people for decades because I started doing that a long time ago on some pretty serious issues. So I'm also very concerned about making it a safe space. So absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What a cool background you have. From being a performer to being a psychologist to to moving into this. It just makes sense, and I can tell that you're doing your dharma. And what I think is that all of if you think about your life, everybody is listening out there, think about your life and think about all the different careers that you've had, and
Mhm.
then you'll know when you're doing your dharma like Marla is, because it's combined all of your backgrounds into this one nice neat little, this is who she is, this is her life experience, this is why she does what she does. And I think we can all find that. And it took me 40 years to figure mine out. Sometimes it takes longer than others, but once you have your dharma, you kind of know it. You're in the pocket, and it basically is a combination of your life experience that brings you to the place of, ah, this is me. This is who I am. And I agree with you that speaking is the way to show your essence. And even if you aren't going to be a speaker, I think going through a speaker training like yours would be appropriate and helpful, just to figure out who you really are, like what is your message, even if you're not going to speak it, like who are you projecting yourself to be. And I agree, I think with your training you'll get a lot deeper into each, as people go through your training, I think they're going to get deeper into the feeling of their home, which puts them back to their essence of who they are. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's getting rid of the chatter. And this helps with your spouse. If you're
yeah.
going on a first date with your
Uh-huh.
kids, with your best friend, with your coworkers,
Yeah.
because it's just a communication skill. You don't
Yeah.
have to be on any stage for this to change your life.
Yeah. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Well, this has been fun. I love that people joined us in the conversation. Feel free to check in. We'll be on our Facebooks and all of our things. We'll be watching. If you guys have any questions, we will answer questions for you as we go. We're streaming now to 7 channels, so that's pretty exciting. So hit us up on any channel where you happen to see this conversation, and we will respond. Meanwhile, any last thoughts or any last words for you, Marla?
Just Happy New Year. I believe in all of you. You're going to be great. It's going to be a fantastic year. And reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, until then, hopefully we'll see you very, very soon, each and every one of you. And thanks, Marla. I really appreciate this conversation. It
Thanks,
makes a lot
Kathy.
of sense.
I appreciate you. All right.